Tiny Seed by Carle. It is autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the others. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they all going? One of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up it goes. It flies too high and the sun's hot rays burn it up. But the tiny seed sails on with the others. Another seed lands on a tall and icy mountain. The ice never melts and the seed cannot grow. The rest of the seeds fly on, but the tiny seed does not go as fast as the others. Now they fly over the ocean. One seed falls into the water and drowns. The others sail on with the wind, but the tiny seed does not go as high as the others. One seed drifts down onto the desert. It is hot and dry, and the seed cannot grow. Now the tiny seed is flying very low, but the wind pushes it on with the others. Finally, the wind stops and the seeds fall gently down on the ground. A bird comes by and eats one seed. The tiny seed is not eaten. It is so small that the bird does not see it. Now it is winter. After their long trip, the seeds settle down. They look just as if they are going to sleep in the earth. Snow falls and covers them like a soft white blanket. A hungry mouse that also lives in the ground eats a seed for his lunch. But the tiny seed lies very still and the mouse does not see it. Now it is spring. After a few months, the snow has melted. It really is spring. Birds fly by, the sun shines, rain falls. The seeds grow so round and full they start to burst open a little. Now they are not seeds anymore, they are plants. First they send roots down into the earth. Then their little stems and leaves begin to grow up toward the sun and the air. There is another plant that grows much faster than the new little plants. It is a big fat weed. And it takes all the sunlight and the rain away from one of the small new plants, and that little plant dies. The tiny seed hasn't begun to grow yet. It will be too late. Hurry. But finally, it too starts to grow into a little plant. The warm weather also brings the children out to play. They too have been waiting for the sun in springtime. One child doesn't see the plants as he runs along and, oh no, he breaks one. Now it cannot grow anymore. The tiny plant that grew from the tiny seed is growing fast, but its neighbor grows even faster. Before the tiny plant has 3 leaves, the other plant has 7. And look, a bud, and now even a flower. But what is happening? First there are footsteps, then a shadow looms over them. Then a hand reaches down and breaks off the flower. A boy has picked the flower to give to a friend. It is summer. Now the tiny plant from the tiny seed is all alone. It grows on and on. It doesn't stop. The sun shines on it and the rain waters it. It has many leaves. It grows taller and taller. It is taller than the people. It is taller than the trees. It is taller than the houses. And now a flower grows on it. People come from far and near to look at this flower. It is the tallest flower they have ever seen. It is a giant flower. All summer long, the birds and bees and butterflies come visiting. They have never seen such a big and beautiful flower. Now it is autumn again. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler, and the wind carries yellow and red leaves past the flower. Some petals drop from the giant flower and they sail along with the bright leaves over the land and down to the ground. The wind blows harder. The flower has lost almost all of its petals. It sways and bends away from the wind. But the wind grows stronger and shakes the flower. Once more, the wind shakes the flower, and this time, the flower's seed pod opens. Out come many tiny seeds that quickly sail far away on the wind. The end. Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are enjoying Plant Week. I wanted to give you an update on my grass. There's no growth yet. I still need to be patient and wait and keep it in its sunny spot, and I need to keep watering it. But I also wanted to show you my roses. I know I showed you these on Monday, and they look a little bit different. They've opened up, and they smell even yummier, and they look beautiful and big, and I wanted to show you guys. So today we are going to make our own tiny seed flower. I'm going to show you how that Eric Carle mixes paint colors and makes his pictures so amazing. So we're going to make our tiny seed flower today. So all you need is some thick white paper. Don't use computer paper, because when you paint on computer paper, it's going to make it extra wavy and it might even break and get really wet. So you need some extra thick white paper. Construction paper would work. You need red paint, orange paint, yellow paint, and some green paint. You also need some paint brushes. You can either use a bristle paintbrush or one of these foam brushes. And then you could also use watercolors with this if you'd like to, but I'm going to use our regular paint. So what you're going to do, your first step, is to get out one piece of your white thick paper. You can lay it horizontally or vertically. It doesn't matter. I'm going to lay mine horizontally. And what you're going to do is you're going to make the petals first. So for that, you're just going to drip some of your red paint onto your white piece of paper, just in some drops, in some random places on your paper. Just like that. And then you need to get out your orange paint and do the same thing. And then the last color that you need is yellow. And you're going to do just a few drops of yellow. I've got some dried paint in there. And now here comes the fun part. You get to mix all of your colors together. Now, I wanted to make mine look just like Eric Carle's flower, but you could choose the different colors if you wanted to. You could make a blue flower, a purple flower. You can choose whatever colors that you want to use. But I'm going to use Eric Carle's colors. So here's the paintbrush I'm going to use. It's our bristle paintbrush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully mix all of my colors together and just make straight lines all the way across my paper. Now, I laid down this brown paper on my kitchen table so that I didn't make a mess. It might be a good idea for you to do that at home too, because you are going to probably get a little bit of this on whatever paints or whatever surface you're working on, so that you can get all of the paint to the edges of your paper. And the way that Eric Carle makes his is he leaves the paint strokes showing. So what you might want to do is you might want to paint all the way across in straight lines like this, and then you might want to make lines going in different kinds of directions so that you can see them on your paper. I'm going to hold this up to show you. You can see all those different lines. Now, I need to put this in a safe place for it to dry, okay? And then we need to wait for it to dry. And while we're waiting for it to dry, I'm going to wash my paintbrush so that I can use it again for my green. So stay tuned. I'm back. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use green and yellow for our leaves and our stem. So we're going to do the same process that we did with our flower petals. We're going to add little drops of paint onto our white thick paper. And then I clean my brush. We are going to do the same thing. We're going to go all the way across mix our colors together. And then you see how the yellow and the green, they make like a lime green color when you mix them together. And then I'm going to show some brush strokes like I did with my petals. So I'm going to just make different lines on my paper and to show brush strokes. Let me show you. And here it is. So now we have to wait for our petal paper to dry and our leaf and stem paper to dry. And then I'm going to show you what the next step is in order to make one of Eric Carle's flowers. All right. So my leaves and my petal papers have dried, and what I did was I took this stencil. I made this stencil. This looks like a flower petal shape. So I made this stencil and I traced all around on the back of my paper, and I cut them out and I made little petals that look like this. See how you can see all the brush strokes in there? So I made some petals, and then I used this leaf stencil. I made a leaf stencil. I traced around on the back of my green paper, and I cut out 2 leaves. You see the brush strokes? And I cut out a stem, just a really long, skinny rectangle out of my green paper. And now we are going to make our flower on top of a different color construction paper. You can use whatever color you want. I just chose this teal color. And then you're also going to need a yellow circle for the center of the flower, and a glue stick. I got one this time. So take your construction paper. It can be red, it can be blue, it can be purple. So take your plain piece of construction paper and lay it in front of you vertically. So going up and down. And what you're going to do is you're going to very carefully lay all your pieces out so that you know how they're going to fit on your paper. So I'm going to lay my stem down, and then my leaves, and then I'm going to lay out my petals to see how they're all going to fit on the paper. You might need to overlap them a little bit. I cut out 8 petals. You guys can cut out whatever kind of shape petal you want. They can be long and skinny ovals. They can be pointy. You can cut out lots of them and make your own kind of flower. It doesn't have to be what I did. I just made mine to look like Eric Carle's flower because I think his flower is pretty special. Okay, so now that I've laid all my petals out and they all fit nicely, then I'm going to see if my center circle fits, and it doesn't, so I need to move them all in closer a little bit because the center circle is going to be what goes on last, just like this. So now that I've laid them all out, I know how they fit. Now I can glue them down. So I can take them all back off very carefully, one at a time, and glue down. So watch me. And here's my final product. I can't wait to see your Eric Carle flowers. Happy Wednesday, guys. See you soon.